My brother used my name to buy $10,000 in Black Friday electronics, so I called the cops and watched him get dragged away. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and I think I was raised to be Jason's fall guy. He's my older brother by 2 years, and since the beginning he's had this magnetic pull. Teachers adored him, girls chased him, even our parents made excuses when he screwed up. He's just expressive, Mom would say when he threw tantrums at family dinners. He'll grow out of it, Dad said after Jason broke into someone's locker in 10th grade. Meanwhile, I got grounded for forgetting to take the trash out. I was the quiet one. Grades, chores, never talked back. I thought if I was good enough, they'd finally see me too. But Jason was always the story. Always the storm everyone learned to tiptoe around. I remember once in high school, someone slashed a kid's tires during gym. Jason came home with a box cutter in his backpack and grease on his hands. But when the principal called, guess who took the blame? Me. Jason said, "Bro, you know Mom and Dad'll freak. Just say you borrowed it for art class. I'll owe you one." And like an idiot I did. Even now, when I think about it, I'm not sure what's worse, that he asked me to lie, or that I wanted to be the kind of brother who said yes. That pattern never stopped. Jason would mess up. I'd absorb the impact. My parents would praise me for being the mature one. It became our family's twisted dynamic. He played with fire and I carried the water. I told myself it was just sibling loyalty. That someday he'd grow up. That maybe, just maybe, he'd return the favor. But what he did last Thanksgiving weekend proved something else. He never saw me as a brother. Just a resource, a shield, a name to use. Thanksgiving weekend started like most years. Awkward hugs, fake smiles, and my mom pretending Jason wasn't 3 hours late to dinner. We were all at my parents' house. Same beige dining table, same dry turkey. Jason finally strolled in with that fake charm he always wears when he wants something. He hugged Mom like he hadn't ignored her calls all week. Then he gave me this half smirk like we shared some secret. "You still working that IT job?" he asked, slapping my shoulder. I nodded. He whistled. "Must be nice making bank. Bet you're gonna go crazy on Black Friday, huh?" I should have clocked it then, but I was just trying to survive the holiday without a fight. He poured me a drink, bourbon, my favorite, and actually asked about my job. That never happens. Then he said, "Hey man, we should tag team some of the tech deals. You know, like old times. I've been eyeing a sound system. Maybe a new gaming laptop. I can Venmo you, just easier if it's all in one transaction." That was his move. Jason never says, "Can I use your credit?" No, he massages you into volunteering. Still, I didn't say yes. I just laughed it off and said I'd be shopping online solo. He dropped it. Or so I thought. Later that night, while everyone was watching some Hallmark movie in the living room, Jason asked to use my laptop. Real quick to check some specs. I didn't even think. I just handed it to him. He sat at the dining table for maybe 10 minutes, then handed it back with a shrug. "Prices are trash," he said. "Might wait till Cyber Monday." I didn't know it at the time, but while I was sipping cider and trying to ignore family drama, Jason was making a purchase, in my name. 2 days after Thanksgiving, I was back in my apartment, sitting at my desk with coffee in one hand and a half-eaten granola bar in the other, when my phone buzzed. "Fraud alert. Suspicious activity detected on your account." I paused mid-bite. I barely used that credit card, only kept it open for emergencies and credit score purposes. So I logged in, and there it was. Multiple charges, Best Buy, Amazon, Walmart, totaling over $10,000. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. Maybe my info got leaked online. But then I clicked on the Best Buy receipt, and my heart stopped. Shipping address, my parents' house. Pickup person, Jason with my last name. The air left my lungs. For a moment, I just sat there stunned, staring at the screen like it would change. Then rage kicked in, burning, sharp, betrayal-soaked rage. I called him. He picked up on the second ring. "Yo, what's up?" "Jason," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Why the hell is there $3,000 charged to my card for a pickup under your name at Best Buy?" He didn't miss a beat. "Dude, what? Are you serious?" "That's probably fraud. People get hacked all the time. You should report it." He was lying. Calmly, confidently, like it was second nature. I saw the receipt. "Your name, my card," he laughed. "Come on, man, you think I'd actually do that to you?" That laugh, it was the same one he used when we were kids and he'd broken a window but blamed me. Except now it wasn't a window. It was my identity, my credit, my future, and Jason was already building the alibi. Jason always had a way of talking in circles, making you question your own memory, your own sanity. Bro, you probably clicked one of those fake emails, he said, voice dripping with faux concern. Like it happens. I can help you file a dispute if you want. I sat on my couch, gripping the phone so tightly my knuckles went white. I didn't click anything. The charges went to Mom and Dad's house. And it says you picked them up, he scoffed. Dude, you think I'd do something that dumb? They must have used my name to throw you off. Scammers are clever these days. That's when I realized he wasn't just lying. He was gaslighting me. Flipping the script, deflecting like he'd done since we were kids. I was shaking. Not from fear, but fury. You used my laptop, I said coldly. On Thanksgiving night? You had it for 10 minutes. He didn't miss a beat. So, I didn't buy anything, man. You really think I'd screw you like that? What, you think I'm that low? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My silence must have said enough because he snapped. Wow. Unreal. After all I've done for this family, you're gonna accuse me of being a thief? I almost laughed. What had he done for this family exactly? Besides drain everyone dry and leave wreckage behind every time? He ended the call with a dramatic, good luck proving it wasn't just some random cyber thief. And for a second, I almost believed him. That's how good he was. That's how used I was to taking the blame. But this time, I had evidence. This time, I wasn't backing down. I told myself I wasn't going to do it. That I was better than snooping. But the moment I pulled into my parents' driveway the next morning and saw Jason's car parked out front, something inside me snapped. He wasn't home. Dad said he stepped out for a bit. Mom was in the kitchen, acting like nothing happened. I stood by his car for a full minute, debating. Then I reached under the bumper, popped out the loose panel, and grabbed the spare key he still hid there like a teenager. I opened the back door. Boom. Best Buy bag. Stuffed to the top, a boxed PlayStation 5, wireless speakers, noise-canceling headphones, all unopened. I reached in and felt something crinkle under the box, folded paper. A receipt, my name, my card number. Jason as the pickup contact. I just stared at it. Not even shocked, just hollow. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't a mistake. He hadn't panicked or acted in desperation. He'd calmly used me. Counted on me being too passive to fight back. I snapped a photo of the receipt with my phone. Then another. Then the bag. Then the serial numbers. I could hear my mom humming in the kitchen, like the world hadn't shifted under my feet. When Jason got home, he barely looked at me. Just grabbed a soda, gave me that smug nod, and walked past like we were good. Like I was still the fool who'd cover for him. But I didn't smile back this time. I didn't nod. I just stared at the back of his head and thought, he doesn't even realize what's coming. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't going to clean up after him. I was going to burn it all down. I sat my parents down that night. Quietly. Calmly. I laid the receipt on the dining table like a loaded weapon and said, Jason used my credit to buy all this. Here's the proof. Dad squinted at it, then sighed like I'd just told him the car needed an oil change. Mom looked away. Her eyes darted to the hallway like she was making sure Jason wouldn't walk in. Are you sure it wasn't a mix-up? She asked. I couldn't believe it. It has my name, my card. Jason's name is the pickup. What part of this is confusing? Dad rubbed his temples. Maybe he's struggling. You know he's been under pressure lately. That job he lost. That job he quit. That rent he never paid. I felt something in me crack. So what, I'm just collateral damage? You've always been the level-headed one, Mom said gently. Maybe you can help him figure it out before it gets worse. That was it. That was the moment I realized they weren't going to hold him accountable. Because to them, I was the buffer, the shock absorber, the strong one who'd always take the hit so Jason didn't have to. I stood up. He didn't make a mistake. He made a choice. He counted on you saying this exact thing. Dad looked wounded. You're not thinking of going to the cops, are you? I didn't answer. I just gathered my evidence and walked out. As I reached the door, Mom whispered, He's your brother. I stopped, my hand on the doorknob. Then maybe he should have acted like one. The door clicked shut behind me, but something bigger closed too, whatever hope I had that they'd ever see me as the victim. Now I was done explaining. Next, I was going to act. That night I didn't sleep. I just sat in the dark with my laptop open, tabs stacked with titles like How to Report Identity Theft When It's a Family Member and Filing Police Reports for Financial Fraud. Every click felt like treason. Every step forward felt like I was cutting some invisible thread tethering me to what little family I had left. But then I'd think about the receipts, the lies, the way Jason looked me dead in the eye and still tried to gaslight me. I pulled out a folder and started printing, screenshots of the bank charges, the email alerts, the photos I'd taken in his car. I laid them out on my coffee table like puzzle pieces. My phone buzzed. A message from Jason. Hope we're good now. No hard feelings. Family first, right? I stared at that text for a long time. My heart pounded in my chest, not because I was scared, but because I was furious. Furious that he thought this would go away, that I was still predictable. I called my credit card company first. The rep was polite, but when I explained it was my brother who used my info, she paused. Sir, this will require a police report for us to proceed. Are you prepared to do that? I hesitated. Just long enough for the guilt to creep in. But then I thought, what about me? Who's protecting me? I whispered, yes. The next morning, I drove to the station with a manila envelope full of evidence. The officer listened quietly, took notes, then asked, do you want to press charges? And for the first time in 27 years, I didn't hesitate. Yes, I said. I want to file a report. It was terrifying, empowering, final, but I had no idea what that yes would set in motion. 3 days later, my phone rang while I was at work. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Mr. Redacted? This is Detective Shaw, Financial Crimes Division. Just hearing those words made my palms sweat. He said they'd reviewed the evidence I submitted, credit statements, receipts, screenshots. Then he added, we also pulled surveillance footage from the Best Buy transaction. My stomach dropped. There's no doubt, he said. It's your brother. We have video of him walking in, presenting your ID number at pickup, and signing for the TV. He paused. He even smiled for the camera. That line hit me like a punch. I could see it. Jason grinning, charming the cashier, probably cracking jokes while stealing in broad daylight using my identity. They sent me a still from the footage. There he was. Hoodie pulled back, my driver's license in his hand, pen scribbling my name onto the signature line. The detective asked, would you like to proceed with pressing charges? Or would you prefer to mediate privately? Something in me shifted right then. All those years I was told to be the bigger person, the peacemaker, the silent fixer. All those times I was told, let it go, he's your brother. But this wasn't a fight over a broken window or a childhood prank. This was identity theft, felony-level fraud, and Jason wasn't sorry. He was just betting I'd stay silent. I want to proceed, I said clearly. All the way, the detective's tone turned firm. We'll issue a warrant by the end of the week. I hung up and stared at the frozen image on my screen. Jason smiling. Jason stealing. Jason, never thinking for a second that I'd fight back. But this time, I wasn't just fighting. I was letting the system handle what my family never could. They told me it would happen quietly. Detective Shaw called me that Friday morning. We've coordinated with the local unit, he said. He'll be brought in today. I didn't plan on being there. I really didn't. But when I swung by my parents' house to drop off a box of old stuff Mom asked for, Jason just happened to be there, shirtless, grinning, sipping orange juice like he hadn't just committed a felony in broad daylight. You look tense, he smirked. Work stress? That smugness. That careless comfort. I don't know why I didn't leave. I sat on the front steps pretending to scroll my phone, heart racing. 10 minutes later, 2 patrol cars rolled up. Jason looked confused at first, like someone ordered pizza and forgot to tell him. Then he saw the uniform step out, calm, direct, all business. Jason, redacted? He blinked. Yeah? You're under arrest for felony identity theft and credit card fraud. Everything slowed. Jason laughed at first. Wait, what? There's no way this is real. You guys have the wrong guy, but the officer already had cuffs out. My mom ran out the door screaming. What are you doing? He's not a criminal, Jason thrashed. You called the cops on me, you? He locked eyes with me like I'd shot him in the back. I didn't flinch. Didn't speak. Just stood there as they read him his rights. My dad was shouting now too, about family, about loyalty. But in that moment, the only thing I felt was a cold, calm clarity. He finally couldn't talk his way out. He couldn't pin it on me. For once in his life, Jason was going to face consequences, and I watched as he was loaded into the back seat and driven away, his voice fading behind red and blue lights. The second the cruiser pulled away, my mother turned on me like I'd just murdered her son in cold blood. "How could you do this?" she cried, her voice cracking. "He's your brother." I didn't answer at first. I was too tired. Tired of being the bad guy for protecting myself. Tired of being the emotional punching bag for other people's messes. He stole from me, Mom. Over 10 grand. In my name. Dad stepped in then, jaw tight, hands clenched. "You couldn't handle this privately? You had to drag the whole family into court?" I laughed. A bitter, exhausted sound. "You mean the family that ignored it? Covered it up? Told me to help him figure it out like I'm his parole officer?" Mom started sobbing. "He's going through so much right now." I looked at her, truly looked at her, and realized something that hurt more than anything Jason ever did. They didn't care about the damage to me. They only cared about the optics, the shame. "I'm not your cleanup crew anymore," I said quietly. "If Jason wants to act like a criminal, then he can deal with real consequences." Dad stepped closer. "You drop those charges or you'll regret it." My voice didn't shake. I already regret never standing up for myself sooner. Silence, the kind that shifts everything. I picked up my keys, looked one last time at the house I grew up in, the place that never really felt like mine, and said, "If you want to protect him, go ahead. But don't expect me to sit quietly while he burns everything down." And then I walked out. Not storming, not shouting, just done. But I knew this wasn't over, because the betrayal wasn't just Jason's anymore. It was theirs too. A week later, I got a text from my cousin Rachel. No greeting, just 3 screenshots. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then it hit me. My entire family, aunts, uncles, cousins, had made a private group chat. Without me. It was called Handle It In-House. The first message I saw was from my Aunt Denise. "I can't believe he really called the cops. Blood doesn't mean anything to people like that." Then my Uncle Terry. He always was too sensitive. Probably wanted attention. And my mom, my own mother. We warned him not to do this. He's choosing to destroy Jason's life over some tech toys. That one shattered me. Tech toys? Is that what they thought this was about? Rachel's message came right after the screenshots. "I didn't want you to see this, but you need to know. They're painting you like the villain." My hands were shaking. I scrolled back through every message, reading their version of events. According to them, I was unstable, overreacting, vengeful. Not a single message asking how I was doing. Not a word about the crime Jason committed. That chat thread was a funeral, except the only thing they were burying was me. I called my mom. She didn't pick up. I tried texting her. Nothing. They'd closed ranks around Jason like he was some wounded war hero, and I was the traitor who brought shame to the family name. I wasn't just alone. I was exiled. And in that moment, sitting in my silent apartment, all the grief I'd swallowed for years came rushing up. They never saw me. Not really, and now, they never would. There's a kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels like drowning. That's what the days after the group chat felt like. No calls, no texts, no invitations, just echo, just guilt. I started questioning everything. Was I wrong? Was I blowing this out of proportion? Maybe I should have just confronted Jason again, made him return everything, kept it out of court. Maybe I was overreacting. The isolation was brutal. My parents had completely cut me off. No updates, no concern, just silence as punishment. And then, as if the universe wanted to twist the knife, I got a voicemail from my grandmother. Sweet, shaky voice.
"Honey, I don't know what's going on, but everyone's saying terrible things."
"Please come by and talk to us. This family's breaking apart." That crushed me. I sat on my floor, lights off, just listening to it on repeat. The voice of the only person who ever treated me with unconditional love, now worried I'd burned the whole family tree down. I actually pulled up the DA's number. My finger hovered over the call button. All I had to do was say I changed my mind, that I didn't want to press charges anymore. It would all go away. I could be the good son again, the silent fixer. But then I thought of all the times I swallowed pain to protect people who didn't protect me. All the lies, The gaslighting. The years of being treated like a backup character in Jason's story, and I realized this wasn't just about $10,000, it was about the version of me I had to kill off to survive in that house. I didn't make the call. I deleted the DA's number from my phone. Let the charges stand. Let the fallout come. Because I wasn't going back. Not this time. I hadn't heard from Jason since the arrest. No texts, no angry rants, nothing, until I got a call from a blocked number one afternoon. I don't know why I answered, maybe curiosity, maybe closure. It was him. "Hey," he said softly, like we were catching up after a long week. "Can we talk?" I didn't say anything. Just waited. I messed up, he admitted. I was desperate. Things have been hard since I lost the job, and I wasn't thinking straight. Desperate. That was his excuse. Not cruel. Not calculated. Just desperate. He kept going. "I know you're mad." I would be too, but do you really want to ruin everything over this? We're family, man. That word, family, landed like a slap. "You used me," I said. "You stole from me and let me take the heat until I caught you red-handed." "I know," he said quickly, "but I can fix it. I'll return the stuff. Say it was a mistake. If you call the DA, say it was all a misunderstanding, they might drop it. No jail, no record. Clean slate." He was calm. Too calm, like he was already confident I'd cave. Like he knew the old me, the one trained to protect him, was still in there, but I wasn't that guy anymore. "No," I said. "I'm not saving you. Not again." The calm cracked. "Wow, you're really doing this. You're actually going to let them put me away?" "I'm not letting anyone do anything," I replied. "You did this. Now you can deal with it." There was a pause. Then, "I hope you enjoy tearing this family apart." I hung up, blocked the number, and for the first time, I felt like I'd made a choice for me, not for them. The courthouse smelled like disinfectant and old wood. The kind of place where lives change in quiet, uncomfortable ways. I sat alone on the hard bench outside courtroom 3B, clutching the envelope of evidence I'd submitted weeks ago, printouts, receipts, screenshots, proof. Jason was being arraigned that morning. I hadn't planned to go, but something in me needed to witness it. To see it through. When they called his name and opened the doors, I stood and walked in. The room was nearly empty. Just the DA, a tired-looking public defender, and Jason, sitting at the defendant's table in a wrinkled button-down and jeans, hands folded, eyes darting like he was waiting for someone. I knew who. No mom, no dad, no group chat warriors. No one, just me. When he saw me, his face twisted, not in remorse but in disbelief. Like he truly thought I'd back out. Like he still didn't believe this was real. The judge read the charges: identity theft, credit card fraud, unauthorized use of financial information. Jason pled not guilty. Of course, his lawyer tried to argue it was a family misunderstanding blown out of proportion, but the judge barely blinked. The evidence was solid. The DA had surveillance, transaction logs, and a witness list. Me. When the judge asked if I had anything to add, I simply said, "Everything I submitted is true. I stand by it." Jason didn't look at me after that, just stared at the table like it might swallow him. The hearing ended quickly. He was released on bond pending trial, but something in him looked smaller, deflated. Walked out of that courtroom lighter than I'd felt in months, not because justice was guaranteed, but because I'd finally stopped waiting for someone else to save me. 3 weeks later, I packed up my apartment and moved to a new city. It wasn't a dramatic escape. No running from shadows, no middle-of-the-night getaway. Just a quiet U-Haul, some cardboard boxes, and a long drive with the windows down. I'd landed a promotion at work, same company, better team, better pay. My manager said, "We've seen how you handle pressure. You're exactly who we want leading this rollout." I smiled politely. She had no idea. The new place was smaller but mine. Hardwood floors, big windows, the kind of silence that feels earned. First thing I bought, a brand new laptop. Same model Jason had stolen with my name. But this one? Paid for by me, clean, honest. Sometimes when I sit down at that laptop, I just run my hand across the lid. It's stupid, but it reminds me I'm not who they said I was. I'm not weak. I'm not bitter. I'm done being used. I started therapy too. First session, I told the therapist, I feel guilty for defending myself. She just nodded and said, "That's what happens when your boundaries have always been negotiable." That line stuck. My parents still haven't reached out. No apology, no check-in. Just silence, the same kind they punished me with when I refused to obey. Jason's on probation. Got community service and restitution. He's working part-time at a warehouse. My cousin Rachel told me he still tells people I overreacted, that I ruined his life, but I don't respond. I don't retaliate because I don't need revenge anymore. I just needed freedom. And that's exactly what I gave myself. Some nights, I still think about that moment on the front steps. Jason in cuffs, my mother screaming, my father's face pale with fury, and I wonder, did I go too far? But the guilt doesn't last long anymore, because I remember how many times I was told to be the bigger person, to fix things I didn't break, to swallow hurt like it was just part of being the good son. They raised me to think love meant silence. That loyalty meant sacrifice. That family meant erasing myself to keep the peace, but that's not love. That's control. Jason stole more than money. He stole years of trust, safety, and belief that I was ever more than his scapegoat. And when he got caught, he didn't apologize. He didn't ask how I was doing. He just wanted out. The truth is, I didn't destroy the family. I just stopped bleeding for it, and when I did, everything that was rotten underneath came spilling out. So no, I don't regret calling the cops. I don't regret pressing charges. I don't regret standing in that courtroom with shaking hands and a straight spine. Because if I hadn't, Jason would have done it again, maybe next time with more money, maybe to someone more vulnerable. This Thanksgiving, I spent the weekend in my new apartment, cooked a small meal, watched movies. No screaming. No guilt, just me. Just peace. And when the Black Friday emails rolled in, I smiled, not because I needed to buy anything, but because it reminded me I don't owe anyone access to the version of me they tried to take advantage of. I've rebuilt my life on my terms, without begging for permission, without waiting for approval. This year I didn't lose a family. I found myself.